Thank you. Mr. Hopper will be here in a few minutes, but we'll go ahead and get started. Turn this out of the way. Meeting. Amanda, call to order, please, and the roll call.
Mr. Campbell?
Here.
Mr. Harris?
Here.
Mr. Hoover?
Here.
Mr. Roan?
Here.
Non-voting advisor, Mr. Zaborowski?
Here.
Mr. Hopper? Welcome.
Here.
Everyone is here and Mr. Harris is virtual.
The minutes of the last meeting of November 14, 2023 have been distributed to members of the commission. Any corrections, additions, or deletions from staff? Hearing none, is there a motion for approval as presented?
Second.
By Mr. Moon, second by Mr. Campbell. Roll call, please.
Mr. Roan?
Aye.
Mr. Hoover?
Aye.
Mr. Hopper?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Campbell?
Aye.
Thank you.
Sir. New business resolution number 2023-09, amendment of the declaratory resolution for the East Side Economic Development Area to enlarge the area, create a new allocation area, and to establish an age-restricted housing program under Indiana Code 36-7-1449 for the multi-Delta project. I'll turn it over to whoever's talking about it.
Oh, hi, Adam.
Hey, good afternoon. Good to see you. The next two we worked with RDC Council on. These both have to do with the project agreements that the Redevelopment Commission actually approved an intent to reimburse for earlier in the fall. It was around the July or August meeting around that time. So these are project agreements that have already been entered into. The RDC has already established intentions to reimburse the utilities for these projects. This is some of the final additions of those project agreements, essentially establishing the economic development and allocation areas for these projects. It's the final step on the project agreement side, first step on the TIP creation side. So what's unique about the Del Webb, this is be the first age restricted allocation area, not only within Greenwood, but within Johnson County. This is a specific statute apart from the other normal TIP statute that has been used in the past. It's about as far as I'll say the word statute without deferring to you, but generally speaking, it is a provision that allows for sale residential to be captured as incremental assessed value. And the intention there is that it's an age-restricted community, 55 or better. It's the term that I heard from them. And the idea is that ultimately this allows the public infrastructure and site improvements to be, those costs to be lowered, therefore the average sale price to those, for those specific buyers to be more accommodating. So that's the idea, is to provide housing in a situation and a demographic that is of need. And that is what has been proposed in this plan. The high points would be that it is a new allocation area. It's a recently annexed parcel into the city of Greenwood. And once developed, the incremental taxes would flow to the Redevelopment Commission via this allocation area, and then ultimately be used to repay and reimburse the utility improvements that were done pre-construction. And in addition to that, the only other item that's probably worthy of note is that that's probably it. I'll leave it there. Are there any questions that we can try to answer? Otherwise, there are multi representatives here as well that may be able to answer any specific project questions.
Compton, you know when you break ground out there? You can just scream it if you want.
Earth moving activity should begin in April as soon as the weather breaks. Offsite sanitary sewer improvements would start in January, late January.
Remember what I was attempting to tell you, the new allocation area exists, but it would be a part of the East Side Economic Development Area. So this will help facilitate after its reimbursement is repaid. This will go to further East Side economic development area, economic development plan.
Is there a motion to approve resolution 2023-09? With that motion. Motion by Mr. Campbell, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Hoover. Any questions, comments from anybody? All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Hoover,
Aye.
Mr. Hopper,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. Campbell,
Aye.
Mr. Moan.
Motion is approved 5-0. Still up, huh?
I think so.
Resolution 2023-10, amendment of the declaratory resolution for the East Side Economic Development Area to create a new allocation area for the Anderson Housing Core project.
So very similar, project agreements were approved this fall. The reimbursement and intention resolutions were approved by the Redevelopment Commission this fall as well. This is again a condition to the project agreements. This is for the US 31 in Worsville Road, those existing 3 parcels of farmland undeveloped now in that corner. As it's been well covered in the news, Interest is doing a GE booth expansion there to the northeast side of that. And then there is a commercial retail use looking at the northwest side of that specific parcel, all outlined in the project agreement that you already see. This is just declaring the initial allocation area. That those parcels already in the existing central expansion area. So we're effectively doing a carve out and recreation. This would establish it as a project specific allocation area so that future incremental dollars from those existing 3 parcels will be very clearly accounted for going forward.
Questions for Adam? Is there a motion to approve resolution 2023-10? Motion by Mr. Moe.
Second that.
Second by Mr. Hoover. Questions, comments? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Hopper.
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. Campbell,
Aye.
Mr. Moan.
Aye.
Mr. Hoover.
2023-10 is approved 5-0. Let's see, no old business, capital project reports, RLR Associates Inc. amendment to the professional service contract.
Yeah, so this is Kevin calling in on this. And so this is a contract that we've had for multiple years. And it provides on-call services to help with wayfinding signage as well as interior signage, etc. Depending on what we're doing. The Parks Department used them some last year for the sports park. And we use them some to consult on all the parking garage signing that you can probably see a little bit of. It's coming on for 5/23. There have been other years where we hardly use them at all. It just depends. And so this would be for 2024. It's the same amount we've had, not to exceed $20,000 for consulting on signage, graphics, regulatory signage, ingress, egress, pedestrians, vehicles, etc.
Kevin, you said it was a not to exceed $20,000, but the amendment references not to exceed 40,000.
We have a current contract through 2024 that's already, it was for 20,000. This is for an additional 20,000, so it'll make the full contract not 40.
Oh yeah, so we're doing. I guess we used to do new contracts. I guess this is an amendment on it, so it would increase the aggregate amount to 40. Yeah. Apologies.
Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Hoover. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Moe. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. Campbell,
Aye.
Mr. Moan.
Aye.
Mr. Hoover,
Aye.
Mr. Hopper.
Aye.
Thank you.
Approved 5-0. Yeah, thanks, Kevin. Financial report, monthly financial report.
Nothing.
No annual RDC report to units.
So as I'm setting up the share screen, is anyone here on behalf of any of the units? Okay. I'm going to we have, each year, we're required to provide a public presentation and make invitations to provide an update on where the redevelopment commission stands as far as project plans, budgets, those kind of things. This is intended to be to deliver on that commitment. What you all have is a printout version of that. We can provide an electronic copy for any of your boards or stakeholders as well. Since there's no one in attendance, I'm going to try to be, there's like 40 slides on this thing, so I will try to be concise, but I also want to make sure we do our diligence and cover that. So I'll go through it. I'll try to keep it moving just for brevity's sake, but certainly want to make sure that for anyone that is here, the public, or for any of you for that matter, we can cover it. One thing I failed to put in the start of the slide is just sort of definition of terms. So a couple of things that you'll hear me say. One would be TIF. All of you, for the public, that would be tax increment finance revenue. It's basically a fancy way to say real estate revenues that are incrementally captured. Okay. Allocation area would be either a parcel or a set of parcels that were defined in a specific area you just approved to. The EDA or economic development area would be the specific areas of those dollars could be spent in, and those would be the sort of the serve and benefit relationship, and those kind of things come into play. Tax district would be the group of units that ultimately make up the tax rate that is applied to that incremental aid. So in this case, it would be school district dependent, library dependent, special districts, etc. And then incremental AV would be the amount that is captured and essentially is what the Redevelopment Commission derives its revenues from. So it's the delta, it's the incremental assessed values over the base. And then lastly, you'll see a reference in the presentation of the term CAGR, CAGR, compounded annual growth rate. It's basically average return by year. Okay. So as mentioned, this is a required annual presentation. There's the site reference as well. We're required to provide an overview of the budget, long-term plans, and impact to the other taxing units. As far as the 2023 general fund RDC budget, keep in mind the RDC has TIF dollars that are appropriated. Those are what you hear is like your East Side, Central. Those are your TIF appropriations. But in addition to that, the Redevelopment Commission also has a small budget within the City of Greenwood's general fund. Okay, it's funded from general property tax and other revenues. That's what this budget is. So for 2023, the original budget was $35,100. Year to date, less than $10,000 has been spent. So on the general fund side of the Redevelopment Commission, for 2023, it's less than 30% of your budget has been used. Am I causing that at all?
You guys have mics in front of you. One of you is, I think, hitting it, possibly, or like moving papers over it. I don't. You just turn your mics off.
Good. Okay.
I think it's
Okay. So for 2024, it's the same budget, $35,100 that was approved by council. And then, as mentioned, that was the general fund budget. But the RDC, the majority of the dollars that are spent are in the TIF appropriations. Those are the special revenue funds that the TIF dollars are collected in. The appropriations were approved, I believe, your last RDC meeting or the one prior for 2024. As you can see by the chart, the east side TIF is the majority of the TIF appropriations, followed by Worcester Road, Central Fry, and Southwest. So the appropriations are subject to public hearing. They're approved annually by the RDC. And there's been some changes here. Starting next year, by December 1st, we have to present a spend plan. We've worked with your local council, and the part of the packet we provided that has some of the schedules. That's an early preview of the spend plan structure. Well, we are legally required to present that by next December. You have a draft version of that for next year already. Overview of the finances. This is per the 2022. These are annualized numbers at the allocation area level. You can see the total revenues and expenditures by each of the TIP districts as of the end of 2022. We're a couple weeks away from having 2023 wrapped up, where we have not yet received the fall TIP distributions or tax distributions for this calendar year, and that will be included in the 2023 annual report that will be updated in the spring. This is probably incredibly hard to see, but this is the fund balances for that report. This report is online. If anyone would like copies, we can make those available. The city has them as well. I believe they're on the website. And then 2023, as we just mentioned, the RDC has a live transparency portal. It's available 24/7 with a web internet access, and it updates as of the day prior. As far as bond information, this is as of the end of, you can see the amount outstanding for the end of this year, as well as if all the payments, no new debts were on, you can see what the outstanding principal would be at the end of 2031 or 2024 as well, by TIP area. Some of these are subordinate. I won't get into the weeds on that today, but some of these are pledged specifically by project revenues. This is the debt service information, debt table for each of those years. So you can see the cumulative debt obligations for each of the allocation areas. So we talked about tax districts. Each tax district has its own cumulative tax rate. That's important for the Redevelopment Commission because that's essentially the effective bill rate that's used for the incremental assessed value. Okay, so all things equal, if you have a project that generates $10 million in incremental assessed value, a tax district that has a higher tax district rate is going to produce more TIP revenue per $100 in that case. Greenwood is unique in that it has a lot of different tax districts. Its Redevelopment Commission spans a lot of different districts. So the assessed values that you'll see here in a moment, there's a variety of different tax rates that are relevant to that. Should also mention that this is pre-circuit breaker. The arrows point to the directional change year over year. So one of the things we are monitoring is as the assessed values are increasing, the actual units levies and therefore their tax rates are not growing as fast. So the actual tax rates are coming down. That's a good thing from a taxpayer's perspective. From a TIP collection standpoint, it actually presents a headwind to the TIP revenues in this case, because again, every dollar is being charged at a lower tax rate. Okay. So in this case, 4 out of 8 of the districts actually saw a tax decrease, which long-term is one of the aims of good TIP, is that if you create all this new assessed value, tax rates would come down. Our main plan, our spend plan, is based off of essentially $750 million in incremental AV for PAY 2024. That is what's certified. That's producing about $18.6 million worth of anticipated TIP revenue, about $19 million in total fund balances projected by the end of this year, $10.4 million in debt obligations. So there's an anticipated TIP surplus for other projects of $8.2 million next year, and about $63.6 million worth of debt outstanding at the end of next year. And you can see which of those are trending higher or lower year over year. And then forward debt service coverage ratio, you can see each of those. That is looking at the anticipated TIP revenues per allocation area that has debt, bonds outstanding, and that revenue divided by the debt service. Pryor Road's the only one that is less than 100%. That's been a trend over the last couple of years. It's well documented on the city. We've had conversations. There's actually enough cash in that fund to essentially retire that debt today. So when you look at the fund balance plus the debt reserves, there's really no repayment risk. That area also only has 2 or 3 years left on its original expiration.
Hey, Adam, Brian here. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Hey, so those four, is there a blended debt service for all four of those? And if so, what do you think it is?
Let's see. I would say blended is probably in the 200% range.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm just eyeballing it here. The cumulative TIP revenue of 18.6 divided by the total debt obligation of 10.4. So we're maybe just shy of 200%.
Got it. I see the math. Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
My pleasure. So long-term plans, we talked about EDAs or economic development areas. Each allocation area is really backed and we kind of founded on this. The allocation areas are really intended to serve and benefit the economic development areas and to fund the economic development plans mentioned in there. Right now, there are 10 separate allocation areas and 4 separate economic development areas. So previously in your agenda, we just had the declaratory for the 2 new. There's no new economic development areas. It's just the 2 proposed new. So if there's 10 now, if the 2 that are proposed would go through, there'd be 12. So in the economic development plan, there's a variety of different things. These are just kind of the common terms and points and plan components, kind of the purposes for why these things are. So obviously, serve and benefit public health, track and retain jobs, etc. Each of the allocation area has a rolling 5 to 7 year plan. We actually worked last week, in the last couple of weeks, to update the Redevelopment Commission's 5-year capital improvement plan. So these would be projects that the Redevelopment Commission is proactively doing above and beyond project-specific TIP requests. Those are at a high level item here, but itemized internally. If anyone would like to see those, please let us know. This is an overview of the current EDAs and allocation areas by district and by TIP code and whether or not it was original expansion. And then most importantly, for the overlapping units, this provides the best updated information on the duration and last pay year of each area. There has been a lot of changes here. Older areas had a 30-year fixed life. More recently, new allocation areas do not have an automatic sunset or termination. That's only triggered once that new area has indebtedness. Okay. And then it's 25 years. So updated projects, obviously the Madison downtown streetscapes. There's utility extension agreements. The 2 projects you just approved the declaratory for were both utility projects. Market Plaza streetscapes is being looked at, widening of Main Street, widening of Smith Valley Road, the northwest block A of Madison, and then there's a variety of redevelopment acquired gravel plots and parcels that are being looked at as well. Not sure what that was, but we're gonna keep moving. The effect on overlapping tax units, I would say the biggest thing is there's really a minimal impact year to year on the schools, city, library, county, really but for some of the cumulative capital funds. The primary impact would be, are projects that TIP doing putting school kids in the classroom, in the schools? Is that doing it? Are there situations where we're creating sort of load burdens? Are there situations where we're capturing projects that otherwise would have been built that would have been better off just going to the base? I would say, in my opinion, as long as that but-for test is met at the RDC, meaning that your investment, your intervention really creates the opportunity, and otherwise that would have gone somewhere else, then the impact is really trivial to zero. It's really only in situations where the RDC is capturing items that otherwise just normally would have been built that there's really any measurable impact.
Adam, I would just add, related to that, there's a benefit that often comes with the personal property taxes that are not being captured, yet often are coming with new development.
Yep, that's a good point. And, I always take the lens of like, think about real estate taxes for all these units are capped. They're capped at the property level, and their growth is capped at the state level. Local income tax is not capped. So in that respect, the idea here is that you create this, people come in, they move in, they patronize the businesses, they buy homes, and then the reality is that's going to create new excise tax, that's going to create new income tax, that's going to create all of these other sort of revenues for the county at large. That's sort of the big picture. So these are the specific taxing units that have been provided. It's obviously all the different schools, the certain townships, county, state of Indiana, city of Greenwood is one of those units as well. So as far as the impact long term, the idea is the job creation and creating those new residents to choose this area. We just mentioned. This goes through an overview. We'll make sure this is up. This is a great little 2-minute video that Amy put together that just kind of explains TIP 101. We talked about that incremental revenue standpoint. I won't belabor the point today, but the idea here is that the Redevelopment Commission is really only capturing and reinvesting the incremental. Looking more specifically, as of page 24, the Redevelopment Commission has certified incremental assessed values just shy of $800 million. You can see it's steadily increased over the last several years, with really the Worsville Road, Southwest, and Central really being some of the leading drivers of that growth. As far as assessed value by area, the east side is just under 63% of the total. Central actually ranks second. Relatively new TIP, started in 2014, but Central, Southwest, and Worsville Road had the largest year-over-year, 2024 over 2023 growth. We're talking 41, 38, and 37% net assessed value growth, incremental assessed value growth year over year. That's pretty significant when you're talking assessed valuation. Fry Road continued to decline. Again, Fry Road, over half of that allocation area is the Greenwood Park Mall. It has had commercial appeals and all kinds of stuff going on, so it's just got a lot of headwinds there. All right, one of my personal favorites is this. This is the CAGR concept. This is the compounded annual growth rate. This to me is one of the most important metrics over time, and you said a lot so the red line is the TIP growth cumulative year over year in incremental values charted against the city of Greenwood's net assessed value over the same time. So the 100% of the TIP boundaries lie within the city of Greenwood boundaries. Okay, certainly the city of Greenwood boundaries then have a lot of areas that aren't in a TIP. Okay, as well. One of the metrics, and we talked about earlier, you want to have that but-for test, right? You want to be able to say, hey, it wouldn't have happened but for being in a TIP. Well, one of the sort of litmus tests that we look at is, okay, what are the growth differences, right? So if you have a non-TIP area, is it growing at the same rate as a TIP area? Or is a TIP area, is there something different happening inside a TIP area than is happening in a non-TIP area, right? We look at the spread of that. So generally speaking, when the AB is going higher, TIP is more often than not growing faster. And in years where there has been a decline, the TIP is actually, about a couple times been more, had a higher sort of beta than the city side. But over to the right, when we look at the last trailing 10 years, the TIP on average has grown at 9.5% per year. The city net assessed value has grown at about 6.3. So on a multiple perspective, the TIP areas are growing 1.5 times the non-TIP areas. Okay, So that's a metric we track to make sure that there is a positive growth spread happening within the allocation areas. In the most basic terms, this would be the same kind of calculation we all make with retirement savings, right? If I can earn 5% in a CD today or 10% in a 401k, the long-term benefit is still there that I should put money in a 401k, right? That's essentially what this same sort of spread is trying to do, is trying to make sure that the TIFs are growing at a fast enough rate to merit a 25-year capture period. So using that 10-year trailing growth rate, we can make reasonable estimates of where this will go in the future. This does not assume any new allocation areas. This is just current sort of trends projected into the future. We can see that within the next few years, the cumulative incremental assessed value from the TIF areas would likely and is expected to generally grow to be over $1 billion incremental AP. So there's a lot of information on the website. All that we talked about, the monthly and annual RDC reports. The transparency portal is a great tool. It has all the daily information. The city prepares a comprehensive annual financial report that's where the Redevelopment Commission's financials are audited by an independent auditor. And for all the overlapping units, the RDC years ago adopted a collaborative projects agreement that allows and invites these overlapping units, libraries, counties, schools, to make specific TIF funded project requests to this commission. So there's a formal application and process for that to try to be collaborative on that. So that's all I have. I know that's a long presentation. I appreciate you all being patient, but I'm happy to take any questions you may have.
Questions for Adam? Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Adam.
Department reports, Mr. Hodson. All right, thank you, sir. Mr. Watson?
Nothing to report today.
Mr. Wright?
Nothing for me.
Mr. St. John?
Good afternoon, Mark St. John, City Engineer. The one item I have on this is asking you to authorize payment for relocation assistance in parcel 3. This is a roundabout project with Smith Valley and Averett. This house will be a total take. There is a tenant in the house, and under federal law, they're entitled to relocation assistance. So the maximum amount they're entitled to is $7,200. Just asking you to authorize the payment on that.
All right, is there a motion?
Second.
Second by. So close. Mr. Campbell beat you, you think? All right, Mr. Campbell, you get the second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Campbell.
Aye.
Mr. Moan.
Aye.
Mr. Hoover.
Aye.
Mr. Hopper.
Aye.
Mr. Harris.
Aye.
Motion approved, 5-0. Thank you. Any from the mayor's office? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve our claims docket for December in the amount of $930,082.09?
Move.
Second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Gordon.
You said second, I need it.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Moan.
Aye.
Mr. Hoover.
Aye.
Mr. Hopper.
Aye.
Mr. Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Campbell.
Aye. Docket is approved 5-0. Is there a motion to approve our 2023 carryover list? You guys are all on here. I'll make the motion. Mr. Campbell, will you second it?
Second.
I'll need one of you to vote, though. Roll call, please.
Mr. Hoover.
Aye.
Mr. Hopper.
Aye.
Mr. Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Campbell.
Aye.
Mr. Moan.
Aye. Carryover is approved 5-0. Anything else from anybody out on the interwebs? Guess we have a motion for meeting dates too. Those look good to everybody? As far as we know. Those are just- second by Mr. Hoover. Roll call, please.
Mr. Hopper.
Aye.
Mr. Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Campbell.
Aye.
Mr. Moon. Mr. Hoover.
All right, 2024 meeting dates approved 5-0. We need to make this appointment today, Mr. Watson, is it,
The
do we know?
only urgency would be if there's gonna be any meetings coming up here
Not to my
soon.
knowledge, no.
We do,
I mean, we can if you guys want to. It's up to you guys.
it's normal to do it at this meeting and the current holder of that position is willing to serve.
We know how. Is this a yearly appointment? You'll have to refresh.
Yes.
Okay.
Who's our current?
Yeah.
Michelle Strong.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Make a motion to refer.
All right, motion by Mr. Campbell. Is there a second? Okay. Second by Mr. Bowman. Roll call, please. Unless somebody else has another nomination, I'll ask that first. All right, roll call.
Mr. Campbell.
Aye.
Mr. Moon. Mr. Hoover.
Aye.
Mr. Hopper.
Aye.
Mr. Harris.
Aye.
Appointment from Michelle to the GCDC is approved 5-0. Thanks for me. Very sorry I was late today. Merry Christmas to all. Hopefully, if you celebrate Hanukkah, you're having a great Hanukkah too. And we will take care.